we ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Do y'all need a couple minutes to climb
We've already talked about it.
Great. Sir, if you'll stand for a second. This is cause number F2500154, Style the State of Texas versus, is it Marquise Conway?
Marquise Conway.
Okay, Marquise Conway. Mr. Conway, you are here charged with the offense of capital murder while remuneration. This offense is a capital felony. You've talked to your attorney about what's happening here today.
Yes, ma'am.
This case is set for a bond reduction hearing. What is the current bond, or is there a current bond?
Current bond set at $2 million, Your Honor.
Okay, all right. And your attorneys are here today asking the court to reduce your bond. You understand that's what
Yes,
this
ma'am.
hearing is about?
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
all right, have a seat. Is the state ready to proceed?
The state's ready, Your Honor.
State may proceed.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would offer into evidence for the purposes of this hearing, State's Exhibit Number 1, which is the PC or probable cause affidavit for Kewan White. That's K-E-W-O-N, White, common spelling. State's Exhibit Number 2, for the purposes of this hearing, would be the probable cause affidavit for Devin Brown. State's Exhibit Number 3 is going to be a video of the offense. State's Exhibit Number 4 are going to be the bond conditions that were placed on the defendant in this case on March 21st of 2025. State's Exhibit Number 5 is going to be the PSA weighted scale score that was given by Dallas County Pretrial Services on March 25th of 2025. And then State's Exhibit Number 6 will be the financial, confidential affidavit of financial condition that was filled out by the defendant. That's State's Exhibit Number 6.
No objection, Your Honor.
State's Exhibit 1 through 6 are admitted.
And we'd ask the court to take just judicial notice of the probable cause affidavits and having been able to review them prior to this proffer.
So noted.
Thank you, Your Honor. Based off of an agreement with defense for the purposes of this hearing, I will also proffer the following information. To start, before I forget, the state did run a complete criminal history of the defendant, including both juvenile, misdemeanor, and felony criminal history. That information was ran yesterday. The court may notice that in State's Exhibit Number 5, the PSA from Dallas County Pretrial Services, that there is an affirmative when asked about prior convictions. I believe it specifically mentions felonies. I will represent to the court based off of all the information and reviewing all the evidence that we have at this time. The state can find no prior misdemeanor convictions or prior felony convictions for the defendant, either as a juvenile or as an adult in the state system or the federal system. We would also proffer the following information, Your Honor. A state's witness will testify to being present for a conversation about the payment for the murder of Melvin Noble. This conversation took place in the days following Mr. Noble's murder in November of 2020. A state's witness will testify to the individuals present and involved in this conversation. The state's witness will also testify to Marquise Conway, the defendant, being present and involved in this conversation. The state's witness will testify to the amount of money that was to be paid for the murder. A state's witness will testify to the individuals responsible for the payment. That state's witness will also testify that Marquise Conway was one of the individuals responsible for a portion of that payment. A state's witness will also testify to the individual who would receive this payment. The state's witness will testify that Kewan White was, in fact, the individual to receive this payment, who was originally indicted in State's Exhibit Number 1, the probable cause, which is before this court. The state's witness would also testify that Keywan White, or to who shot and killed Melvin Noble. This witness would also testify to Keywan White being the individual who shot and killed Mr. Noble on November 11th of 2020. Again, this conversation took place in the days following Mr. Noble's murder. The state has also had an opportunity to review bank records of the defendant, Marquise Conway. These records would show that the defendant drew $40,000 in the days following the murder of Melvin Noble. And for the record, that was a cash withdrawal. These records would correspond to the exact amount which the state's witness would testify to. In reviewing these records, the state also became aware and believed that they would show that the defendant had anywhere between $800 and $900, but more specifically, $870,000 between a checking account and a savings account with one particular bank. 370 of which was in a checking account, a little over 500,000 which was in a savings account. The state at this time would like to publish to the court what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 3, which is the video of the offense. Thank you, Your Honor.
Your Honor, before that's published, could I just address something with the prosecutor and their proffer?
Sure.
So it's clear for the record that as he recited, the state's witness, his proffer is, that's just one witness.
Correct, Your Honor.
Not multiple witnesses. And that I don't recall if a specific in the proffer was when the date that this witness purported to hear this conversation.
I do not have the specific date written down, but I know it was in the days following the offense. We do have evidence of when this could have taken place based off of cell phone data of when the defendant was in another state and then when he came back to Texas. So we believe we have a time frame. As far as the exact date, I do not have at this time.
Anything else, Mr. Chair?
No, Your Honor. Permission to publish, Your Honor.
Yes. Y'all want the lights off?
It's at the court's discretion.
Oh.
And Your Honor, this is, just for context, this is approximately noon on I-35 heading northbound. This video is taken from a Kroger 18-wheeler, and this is heading north I-35 into downtown Dallas on noon on November 11, 2020. Now, Your Honor, if I could draw the court's attention, if you look on the, I've stopped this video at 19 seconds. You see a gold sedan in the far left lane and a black sedan in the second lane to the left. The gold sedan will be the vehicle carrying the victim, and the black sedan is the vehicle driven by Keywan White, who is then the shooter, based off of the evidence we have.
Okay.
Your Honor, I'm going to stop this at 1 minute and 37 seconds. The victim does not return into the frame. The only other things that the state would like to proffer as far as this bond hearing, since the court does not have a probable cause affidavit, of course, since it's a grand jury referral, defendant Kewan White was also indicted. You do have his murder probable cause affidavit from 2020. He was also indicted at that same time in cause number F21-75377 for Dr. Randall Graham, who also sustained injuries, a neurosurgeon who was heading north on I-35 that day and was struck as well. However, he did survive. And finally, Your Honor, the last thing that I would proffer at this time would be that there were a total of 44 fired cartridge casings, all from the same style of firearm as far as the caliber that were recovered on the freeway on November 11, 2020. And at this time, Your Honor, state of arrest.
Okay, the court, is the court ready?
Yes, Judge.
All right, the court's ready to make my ruling. The court is going to reduce the bond to $750,000. The court took into consideration, certainly, the biggest consideration was the offense, the severity of this particular offense. It's pretty egregious to watch that video. But the court also took into consideration the evidence or lack of evidence that the state presented. That was a factor also. Another concern I had was the financial statement that the defendant was to put on file. He didn't seem to take that very seriously at all. And that causes me concern about whether or not he's taking seriously the allegations against him. So I am going to set the bond at $750,000 with the bond conditions that were already set. But included on that, I want it to be very clear, Mr. Conway, that you are to have no contact, direct or indirect, no threatening or harassment of any victim, witness, co-defendant. If it's you or anybody on your behalf, there's going to be a problem. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.